Hello, today we've got a soul level 18 Bandit build. Just got bare minimum stats to wield the Bandit knife and Gru Rot Spear. This build uses primarily the Carthus Rouge on the Bandit knife and also uses the Gru Spear for status effects to generate poison. So it's all about doing poison first and then going into bleed with some parries and some counters. He's also got the short bow for ranged enemies. And I wanted to create a build that was sort of like what you would encounter in Dark Souls 1 when you were making your way through the Undead Burg and you would encounter the hollow thieves and assassins who would try to kill you on your way through the streets. So I would not call this build optimized at all. I mean, I have the Hornet Ring and the Prisoner's Chain, and that's about it. Everything else, I've got the Untrue Dark Ring for camouflage and fashion, and everything else is just to have some fun and to give people a fun enemy to fight. I will say that I was pretty impressed with the pressure capabilities of the Bandit Dagger, and as well as its ability to generate bleed rather quickly, especially with enemies with shields. When you see an enemy who has a weapon art shield, it's a great time to just wail away at them. Now this guy, I was pretty worried about his parries, but he wasn't throwing them out there, so I said, hey, let's just give it a shot and just put the pressure on. I really should have been thinking about those parries a little bit more. I think if he was savvy, he could have waited for me to hit a couple times, because there's a couple times here where I hit more than twice, and he could have pretty easily parried me there. So, lots of fun though. Since this is a deprived build, I am also using the Carthus Roll Ring, whatever that ring is called, that gives you just a couple extra points in dex and also disguises your rolls, because I think it would be fun to disguise rolls, and that's kind of an assassin sort of bandity thing to do. And also, just by doing that, it gives me enough dex to be able to use these weapons. So these guys that I'm fighting, we've got some overleveled phantoms here, because after all, this is the Undead Settlement, and this place can be rough for non-twink builds. I mean, the amount of overleveled phantoms here can be quite appalling. I know Old Rabid One recently made a video, and I mean, just watch it. His experiences there are just, he's constantly encountering them almost every time. And I encountered them quite a bit. And what I learned is that the host is usually the weakest link here, because they're the ones that don't often have the purple moss clumps and such things. The overleveled phantoms can heal themselves, can heal the host, and they can also cure status effects a lot of times. So here I'm just trying to play my type, which is an annoying bandit. I'm trying to pressure these guys, push them back and forth, using the stairs and my long spear to try to get some range on them, try to give them some pokes, and generate some status effects. I love switching up to the short bow too. It's just lots of fun to take some pot shots at people and get them to come at you. So like this guy right here is coming down the stairs. Hopefully I can get him to come more. Here the host lets me corner his phantom, and so I'm able to take quite a bit away with that bleed, as you can see. And I'm not going to pursue him. Like with fighting these hosts as sort of an unoptimized build, I'm not going to get in there and one-shot them like an Ouroboros or anything. I have to kind of chip away at these guys. And so now that we're in open ground, these guys were doing a really good job of working together to try to get on either side of me, which I thought was pretty cool. I really should have been keeping them both in my view here, which I try to correct as I go through the fight. The Phantom lets me fight with the host for a little while, and I think what he was going to do over there was closing the gate so I couldn't get away. But this wasn't a good idea, because I'm able to trigger poison on him, and once I do that, things get kind of serious. So now the host withdraws because he doesn't know what to do, and I can actually fight his Phantom. I'm scared of the setup parry here, but I've been seeing him hold his shield out so much at this point that I feel like he's not really going to go for that setup parry. I haven't seen him parry once, so I'm trying to generate some status effects on him. So at this point they're both poisoned, and I'm feeling pretty good here because the host is ticking down. He hasn't healed yet. If you notice, the Phantom has popped the moss, and what the Phantom should have done also is really given his host some moss as well. He probably has more than one. If you notice right now, the host is about to die. He doesn't have any more Estus at all, and doesn't have any moss. So his friend kind of bailed on him at the last moment. That's what I really like about Poison. You can really change the game and make people run away, and have to heal, and that's a good thing. Here we've got more of a typical setup in that we don't have any overleveled phantoms. We just have 2 normal phantoms moving through the game. This is one of my favorite encounters. It's just fighting normal players moving through the game. I really like about the white phantom is that it looks like he's maining a mail breaker with an offhand longsword, which is pretty interesting. So these guys are trying to corner me. I'm just doing my best to actually use the charge attack there. Still doesn't generate any status effects, but right here we kind of get some pokes in. Once I generate the status effects, I back off and heal. I figured that these guys probably don't have any moss. Even backstabs at this low level doesn't really do that much. It's about as much almost as a normal attack. So I plink away at these guys a little bit. This is, again, why I love using the short bow. It allows me to do running attacks, allows me to do rolling attacks, and I make a big mistake here. I try to roll to the side, and I get caught in the corner, and I have to make a choice. I just have to start R1ing, and that bleed really saves me right there. Kills the Phantom, and now I'm able to go one-on-one with the host. I figure he's going to swing a third time. I just kind of felt that. But again, at these low levels, this is with the Hornet Ring, and it's a knife. Still doesn't really do that much. So now I can use Quick Step a little bit and start to get in some shots on the host. Gotta make sure I heal. I can't get greedy because that sword can still kill me pretty easily. If you notice, I'm dealing slash damage, so it's not doing very much to this host. I just have to stop him from drinking an Estus and generate some bleed. Pretty fun stuff. Here I'm being true to my bandit nature, trying to be kind of sneaky and get in there and get a backstab. I'm not very good at doing stuff like that, so eventually it turns into just a ruckus. I can get hit by the enemies too. I kind of forget that sometimes. Kind of thought that parry would go through, but it didn't. I noticed that both of these guys have weapon art shields, and so I can start to really go R1 crazy on them in terms of generating bleed. His Phantom kind of saves him there, gives him a chance to Estus, so I gotta back off, especially with the blue spirit coming in. Figuring this is a good time to get my buff going and see if I can pull out, get my bow and get some good shots in. A lot of times I noticed that these guys rolled the bleed, so they probably knew what they were doing in terms of the meter building up. But here, I mean, he blocks all of those, and that bleed builds up real fast with Carthus Rouge. So this is kind of a chance for me to get some shots in, maybe get my spear out at some point. I mean, range of the short bow is deceptive. You can still get people even from a decent distance. And it's enough to make people come towards you and want to try to dare this bridge. It's nice to have these villagers here are throwing the firebombs, so that definitely helps. I'm going to try to use my spear to generate some status effects here. I can tell that this Phantom in particular, he knows what he's doing. You know, he's trying to use his longsword to roll catch me. He's using it pretty sparingly. His other buddy, his host buddy here, is coming in with his shield up for those setup parries, so I have to be really careful of that. That Lucerne is definitely a scary weapon to fight. Yeah, he's doing some decent roll catches here. So luring them in here, the host was doing some really odd stuff. He kept his shield up the entire time, and it's not really like an amazing shield. It's the Cataceus shield. It's not very high stability at all. So I don't know if he was in his menu. I don't know if he was trying to quit out of the game here or what. But I mean, he's in hot water over here. It's actually poison that kills him at the very end, which is pretty funny. Here, I just invade some weirdos. I can tell that these guys are having a good time doing some themed builds. Check that out, whatever that was. Definitely some lag happening here. So we've got some clerics, and we've also got Leonard, the ring finger, as well. So we've got some nice cosplays going on here. And double blue spirits, which is pretty interesting. I don't know, maybe it's a dried finger run or something like that. Really getting that bleed in there with these weapon art shields. You can really go for it. He's got the Silver Eagle shield. The other guy's got the Ariandel shield of the Millwood Knight shield. So, man, the blender, though, is pretty crazy here. He's using Soul Greatsword as well, which you don't see that often, but it's hitting for sure. He's also got the Hazel Pick, and he really gives me a run this time with that Hazel Pick. He really can stagger me quite a bit. That's not a weapon that you can parry out of, and I did not really know that. So it stuns you quite regularly. His friend's got the mace as well, so I've really got to be careful about getting stun locked by these guys. I make a lot of mistakes in this invasion, and one of them is trying to parry out of stun when surrounded by multiple phantoms. That's just a recipe for disaster. It's only advisable to parry out of stun when you're just fighting one person because you've got the rhythm down and you know you're not going to get interrupted during your parry. When multiple people are swinging against you, even if you get the parry, you can still get hit again, and then you often don't get the riposte in time. And I've got to make my way back up to help this purple phantom out. He had gotten killed right when I entered. Here we're just trying to force them out, trying to single them out, get just one phantom at a time, see if we can get some backstabs. I get staggered again by that Hazel Pick. I'm not used to fighting that thing. That thrust damage is no joke. But eventually they back up out of here. I'm down to one Estus though. The host does something kind of dumb. He just runs in here and almost gets cornered. But his friend does a good job of using that Soul Greatsword to really do some crowd control and make us get back. Right now it's somewhat of a standoff. Eventually we make our way out, and it's time to engage. I get a parry here, but he gets hit right out of his parry, so I'm never going to know really if that would have gotten him, if that would have really killed him right there. Try to follow his friend, and then I make the mistake I was talking about. I try to parry with multiple phantoms, and I get hit during my parry and I die. So that's the way it works sometimes. Thanks again for checking out my totally unoptimized for fun build, and I'll see you guys next time.